Welcome, everyone. We have a special guest today. Have you ever wondered how to make money by selling printables? My special guest today replaced her teacher's salary with the ideas that God just kept flowing into her mind. I can't wait to hear the story of Amy Center. And I believe that you are going to walk away from today's interview with a lot of ideas of your own. I'm so glad that you're with me today, Amy.
I'm excited to do this and just talk about things that are fun.
Absolutely. Okay, so I know a little bit about your backstory, but we want our viewers and the listeners to know about that. So where were you before this all began? You were a teacher, right?
Yes.
And then kind of a health crisis started changing your perspective on things. Can you share a little bit about that?
So basically, I've loved art my whole life. When I was little, I'd play teacher with my dolls and things like that. And so I just wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a teacher. I actually went to college to become an art teacher and got to college and realized, oh, I'm not very good compared to these people. I decided to do art on the side and become an elementary teacher. I taught second grade. Of course, I could do my art in it. Lots of stick figures, lots of little kids stuff. So I felt pretty good. My second graders said I was an amazing artist. I taught for 4 years, then I had my kids. And so I decided when I have my kids, I'm going to stay home. And when they go to school, I'll go back to teaching. Well, when I had my daughter, I got really, really sick all of a sudden. I didn't know what was going on. And long story short, within 2 years, I was in a wheelchair taking like 80 pills a day. I was having tremors. It was a mess. Like we didn't know what was wrong with me. And I was diagnosed from everything from fibromyalgia was the thing that all the doctors felt comfortable with diagnosing me as. But after all these hospital visits and things, it got into the whole messy world of Lyme disease, which I hadn't really dealt with. It's super controversial if you know anything about it, which I wasn't aware of either. So I had to get like underground treatments that were like my doctors would say, don't email me, don't tell the hospitals my name. Like they could go to jail for prescribing me high dose antibiotics. So I'm just over here like I was a mom and now I am like in this political medical world in debt from like what is happening. I just want some help. And so basically, I tell you this to say that my whole life I'd spent in church, my whole life I loved being creative, and I just like lost my passion for everything. And I needed a nanny to take care of my kids because I could have a seizure at any moment. It was just a horrible, horrible time in my life. And so in that, I questioned pretty much everything I ever believed. And I was very depressed. And so that honestly didn't last that long that I actually had those persisting thoughts. But the fact that I was having those thoughts, I was just at a really dark place. As I went on, and realized, okay, this is not an easy diagnosis. This is not an easy solution. What if I'm like this forever? So I had to come to the conclusion of I can lay in bed and cry and yell at everybody all day, or I can live in this body that I'm stuck in and just try to find the joy in life again. And so I was so depressed because I didn't know what my body was doing. And then we're talking about me going back to work, which we weren't really at that time. Luke, my husband, was like, yeah, don't even worry about it. And I'm over here feeling this guilt of like, but this is our plan. We need to go back. We have all these medical bills. And so it he gave me that permission of like, just take care of yourself. And then I had this, feeling of, am I going to choose joy or am I going to just let this destroy me and my faith? And so what I ended up doing was took all that pressure off myself. I didn't have to find a cure to this. I didn't have to figure out what the purpose was in it. I just needed to trust that maybe there was some good that could come out of this. I didn't have to like hurry up and get better so that I could get my career back on track. So it was a lot of things that I just gave myself permission to just let go, which is a whole nother topic. But basically, I sat in bed and was like, I'm just going to start blogging and telling people about what I'm going through and encouraging people, like, don't give up, find the joy. And all of a sudden, I like became encouraging other people.
I have one question. Were you already blogging at that point?
I had been blogging, like a mommy educator blog. I decided I'm going to create a totally new blog because I was like, here's our adventures around town, but I hadn't done it in a while since I got sick. It was like, this is how to be creative with your kids if you're a stay-at-home mom. So I basically stopped doing that when I got sick. And then I decided I'm going to start blogging again, but it's just going to be about helping people, encouraging people and self-care and finding purpose and just all these like things I was seeking for myself. So it's kind of starting to write like, here's my battle, here's where I'm at, and having people walk through it with me. And there was no like, I want to make a business out of this. This was just like, I need to get out of this rut. And this is exciting to me because I love to write. And so I just started writing. And then, my art projects on the side, I started reading my Bible more and was like, well, if God would allow this, what does it say about God? I need to dig into who God is. And so I started doing all this research and and putting all my Bible notes together that I had done over my entire life, like organizing them. And I like showed on one of my blog posts randomly, I didn't even know how to like get a PDF up on my website. It was like a screenshot of what I had created. And it was like, just want to let you know, this is what I'm working on in my free time. Isn't this cute type thing? But it was not like I'm selling this or anything. It was just, this is me. This is what I'm working on. And I had like maybe 200 views a month at that point. And so anything was like exciting. If my mom's not the only one, yay, looking at my stuff. So I was just excited to be blogging and sharing. It was no business stuff. And people started commenting like crazy on this little screenshot that I had done of like, I figured out the Old Testament or the Bible's not in chronological order. Here's the order you can actually read the Bible in. And I had my doodles and things like that. And so everyone was just kind of like, what is this? This is so cute. I've never seen it organized like this before. You should make more of this. And I was like, really? So I was like, okay, here's one for the New Testament. And I put that up. And then people were just like, I shared this with my Bible class. I've been in church my whole life. This never made sense before. I had put so much stuff up there of like screenshots of things I'd done, but I'd never had a reaction like this before. I just kind of saw like a possibility of like, what if I charge something for this? Like, would you guys pay for it? And everybody was like, yes, this would be awesome. You can make more of these. They're just so fun. And I haven't seen anything like this before. And so that was the first time I thought, what if I make money from this? Like, this is actually maybe not something I'm just doing for myself, but I'm doing for other people, because I was just thinking nobody cares about this. Plus my professors in college told me I was a good artist. And I've had all this baggage around like, what people want. And I just did something that was out of the box because it wasn't a typed up document and I wasn't from seminary. And, it was just something that I loved doing. And I researched to death because I just wanted to know more for myself. And when I started sharing that with people, I realized there's a lot of people who are in the same boat as me. They might not be able to create this, but they want this information presented in this kind of way. And so it just resonated with a lot of people. And basically, I started charging from there, not very much. And it just grew and grew and grew. And people challenged me, do Genesis to Revelation. And I was like, are you serious? Like outlining Genesis to Revelation? And so over 3.5 years, I kept putting out one at a time and just selling each one. And after 3.5 years, I finished the entire Bible, Genesis to Revelation, and bundled it. And my business like blew up. And it was from printables. Like I don't even print them. People download a PDF and they print it themselves. And then there's the flexibility of they can get one book, they can get a bundle by genre, they can get the whole thing together. So the amount of flexibility that's in this digital product is very appealing to people. And it's also less work on my end to be able to put this into production. So if I have an idea, I could literally make the idea and get it on the internet and in someone's hand that day, which I wouldn't recommend. You want to put a little more work into that. But the concept of a digital printable is so accessible and people want this kind of content. It's a very doable thing to create a business out of. And I am just finishing I'm almost on my 5th year of this. I've beat my teacher salary. I'm on course to make even more next year. And I've got this is just the tip of the iceberg for me. Like I have a bajillion ideas now. And a lot of it is now I'm getting on Zoom calls with some of the people on my, email list and my Facebook group and be like, what resonated with you? What else would you like to see? And talking to these girls, and they have ideas which spark ideas. And then I just create kind of what my audience wants. And that's just so exciting for me because I'm able to take these ideas people have and mesh them with my ideas and do something that is beneficial to more than just myself. So basically, I just want to encourage you that the creativity is endless and your style is what people are looking for. They're not looking for a Canva template reproduced. They're looking for your perspective. If I am literally drawing stick figures on these and people are enjoying them. So you do not have to be an artist to do this. You just have to have your own perspective and style. And people love that because that's what we're looking for, is something that's not computer generated. It's a real person behind it. And it's somebody who's relatable. I couldn't relate to any of these studies done by men in seminary as much as I could relate to somebody who looked and talked and struggled with things like I did. So it's kind of just offering something from your personal perspective to encourage people that, and plus showing that God is a creative God. He didn't just talk about how people who were the leaders, who were the speakers, who were the church planners, were the people that mattered. Like think about the Old Testaments when they're designing the tabernacle and the intricacies of how the temple would be, and the designers, like he gave just as specific directions for the creative parts of the temple and the tabernacle as he did for the people that were going to be speaking in them. Like God has created all these talents and he has blessed you with them, and feel excited about using them, and not that they're not enough if they're not this one talent. I love exploring gifts, spiritual gifts with people and helping them find theirs and being proud of them and not saying, oh, just because I'm not a preacher or an evangelist or whatever. God has given you these things and he wants you to use them and be excited to use them.
Ah, that's so good, Amy. I mean, I there were so many points that I wanted to just interject, but I didn't want to stop the flow. One of the things you said when we were kind of discussing this interview, you said, I started the business from my bed.
Yes.
Talking about the pain. And I think that when I work with new writers or new business owners, new creators, anybody who's embarking on this, they either look at circumstances and they're like, but I can't because I've got this going on in my life, or this holds me back in some way. I want to address that, if you'll kind of go into that, about how I started the business from my bed. I also hear people going, but I'm not all that. Like I didn't go to seminary and I don't have a degree. So imposter syndrome, are the two things. Circumstances of I'm sick right now, things are going on. Circumstances or imposter syndrome are two huge obstacles. Can you kind of address how you overcame those?
Yeah, well, I was both of those things. I was the person who was like, the beginning of my story, what I was saying was, I'm worthless, I'm needy, I'm a burden. Like these were all things I was thinking. And that's why I laid in my bed depressed for so long, was because anybody tried to help me. It was like, you don't understand. Or I'm like, you think everybody's like, you're going to get better. You're gonna, like, you don't know that. So-and-so had cancer and they died. And I'm over here thought I had this just pain in my shoulder, and now I'm in a wheelchair. It's just like so much overwhelm of my situation, which wasn't necessarily me being dramatic. These were true things I was saying, true fears I had, but I was drowning in self-pity and fear. And when I realized I can still be in the exact same circumstance and choose to look at it differently, that's when everything changed. Because it was, my situation is terrible right now. I hate this. But if this is what my life is going to be, how do I want to live it? And to me, that was, I'm going to start a gratitude journal. I'm going to set some goals for myself. Like my gratitude journal, literally, when I started out was, I didn't throw up today. I didn't cry today. I brushed my teeth today. Like I was not good. It was not good. And when I started blogging, I didn't one day decide, I feel terrible. Today I'm going to start a business. Everything's going to be great. Like that's not how it worked. It's a process. It was, I need to practice finding joy in situations. Like I literally bought a sign that said, choose joy, and hung it where I could see it from my bed. And so instead of looking at whatever else was on the wall, I put something intentionally there to focus on when I was feeling like this. I watched shows that were uplifting. I wrote my gratitude journal. I started blogging. And then I realized maybe I'm blogging not for myself. Maybe I'm blogging for other people. And so I started to see purpose in what was happening. And so that's another focused prayer. Instead of saying, take this away from me, it was, help me find purpose in this. And so the whole being in bed, I can't do anything. I totally get that. I've been there, but don't let it, that is a lie from Satan. And how many people do you know that have a story that said, everything went great, and then I had this business, aren't I an inspiration? Or is it the people that are like, I had this terrible thing happen to me and I decided this and God helped me with this and now I've got this. And you're like, yes, that is amazing. Nobody wants to hear the story of my life has been perfect, because that's not true. We all know nobody's life is perfect. We're real honest people. And even if my struggle was Lyme disease that you may never have dealt with, you can still relate to me on some level, because you know what hardship is. And that is almost your superpower instead of your hindrance. If you're in that situation thinking this is going to hold me back, no, it's actually going to make you a stronger person if you let it. And it's going to inspire and connect you to other people and even show Jesus to other people in ways that you couldn't before. So I'm not here to like hit anybody over the head who's like, quit feeling sorry for yourself. I've been there. I totally get it 100%. It is hard. But I don't want you to feel like I'm a burden. I can't make a difference because of this, because it's totally not true. That is a lie. And there's so much good to be explored in those hardships that you can use for good. The second thing about imposter syndrome is I'm still dealing with this, but on a totally different level than when I started. And imposter syndrome, if you're not sure what that I mean by that, is just feeling like even me, I'm teaching the Bible and I didn't go to seminary. So part of me is like, what if people find out like I have no background in seminary? I didn't come from a preacher family. Like, are they gonna, like, I have that fear of, monetizing things that I had to get past because I thought, well, what if they find out I'm a fraud? Well, I've never really hidden that either. I've never said that's what I am. I've said, this is my story. This is how I got started. I grew up in the church my whole life. I went to a Christian college. I did not graduate. I didn't get a degree in this. I got a degree in teaching and I got a minor in art. So that's my background. But I've lived this Christianity my whole life. I've walked through hardships and I've grown in my relationship with God. And then when I created these, I didn't just like, here's my opinions. It was intensive research that I did on my own. And on my website, like I've even got like, here are resources I use to create these. But I'm also not at the same time justifying, I'm just as smart as those guys at seminary. I'm not faking that either. Like I understand that is a degree that people get that is very intensive and not what I've done at all. But here's what I've done and here's what I'm offering. And so I'm very forthcoming about like, this is where the research came from, but not like sorry about it either. Being confident in what you've done. And if people ask, like, where did you get that? And they're like, yeah, then that's not your people.
Yeah, that's right.
But the whole point is not to feel like you're less than, but also not to pretend like you're something that you're not either. But just being honest with people, like, this is where this came from. This is how I put it together. And people will decide for themselves if they think that's enough for them to buy it or not. But I don't want you to feel like you're not worthy to do that, because God's given God's giving you that gifting that is unique to you. And that's what people want. And that's the other thing that I've learned through lots of, mentoring and podcasts and things. That's something they repeat all the time is this concept may have been introduced 1,000 times, but nobody's introduced it with your story and your perspective and your style. So that's what kept me going, was like, well, yeah, if you Google Bible timeline, you're going to see a lot of stuff, but I'm not seeing anything that's me or my style. And so that's what sets you apart, is not necessarily that. I've had people that are like, I've never been able to organize information in this way in my entire life. And all of a sudden it was like, wow, this made the Bible come alive. And then I've got some people that are like, all this stuff is in the Bible. Why did I pay for this? Like, I could have just looked at my Bible. And I'm like, but I organized it in a way that was different. Like, so it'll resonate with some people, it'll resonate and not resonate with others. And it's not really your job to please everybody, which is also something I had to overcome. And when I started out blogging and doing digital printables, then I started being like, hey, I used to be a teacher. Here's kids printables. Hey, I want to be a Bible teacher. Here's Bible printables. Hey, I love art. Here's an art printable. I was trying to reach and please every single person. When I realized, okay, what I'm most passionate about and what people are commenting on most are the Bible things, I got rid of the rest. And yeah, it was kind of like, oh, that's sad because I liked doing the elementary stuff and I liked doing the art stuff, but it had nothing to do with this. So people would, want to talk to their friends about, oh, Amy's this, but I'm not. Like, what are you? Like, what? So if you can't define what you're selling and what you're doing, then the people who love your stuff and want to share it can't really define it either.
Oh, good.
It's about, finding what you love, being confident in it, and being truthful with your audience. And that doesn't mean you have to tell them every secret, but it just means not tricking people, basically.
Yeah. And to replace a teacher's salary is a really big thing. That's an enormous accomplishment. And I know that there are a lot of people listening today who would be like, that seems so far away when I've not even sold one single thing yet. It seems so far away to have tens of thousands of dollars to a year come in. And I always say it's not as hard as you think. Just start, something out there. And if the first thing doesn't sell, you make the next thing. It will stay far away. Like the results will stay far away if you never start. Can you confirm for me? Am I agreeing here? It's really not that far away if you just keep plugging on.
Yes. One of the most helpful pieces of advice I got when I started realizing people make money blogging, heard from two bloggers that are millionaire bloggers at this seminar years ago. And both of their things were separate. They weren't listening to each other. And they both said the people who make it in blogging or these online content creators are not the people that happen to like luck out or they get like something goes wrong. It's the people that are consistent and stick with it. And they were like, it is guaranteed this will succeed if you're consistent and you stick with it. Now, it may take 5 years, but it's not the people that just get lucky. It's the people that are dedicated to it. And what I'm finding in my group of blogging friends is it's not even taking 5 years. That it's taking, that consistency and learning what your audience likes. Like I did a bunch of different printables and I still wouldn't go back and redo it because that was learning what people wanted. I was learning nobody cares about this, or 3 people care about this, or 200 people are caring about this. And so it kind of helped me hone in, okay, I've got all these different ideas. Where's my niche? Is a process for sure, but you have to start. Like I didn't start when I got Genesis to Revelation done. I started with the Old Testament 1-pager, and then I did Genesis, and then I did Exodus, and it took forever. But as I'm doing it, I'm putting out one at a time and I'm selling them one at a time. And these were like, I made a teacher salary off of $4 printables. Mm-hmm. So it's about finding what resonates with people and stay in the course.
Of course, absolutely. All right. Well, Amy, how can people find your work? How can they get started with you and get their first printable?
Yeah. My lead magnet is printables. So I have an entire printable library. It's all digital. You go and sign up for my email list, and then I send you an email with the secret password in the link, and you go in and you can access a ton of printables. You just click download, print them at your house. And then you can kind of even see what my style is, what there is in there. There's goal setting, self-care, Christian living, Bible study. I've even got like iPhone wallpapers, but there's all kinds of stuff in there to get you inspired. Yeah, all you have to do is go to amycenter.com/subscribe, and that's center with the S. Amy Center.
Yes, for the podcast listeners. Yeah, AMY and then SENTER. And it's adorable. Her website is all customized. It's all her own doodles. Anything you see on her website is from her heart and from her own artistic brain. It's just adorable. So thank you so much, Amy. It's to have you on the show today. And I can't wait to see what our listeners and viewers create just from this inspiration.
Yes, me too.